We'll get to Kiama in an hour's time. We're going to start in the Wollondilly, and Judy Hannan will join us. Now, you know Judy Hannan, of course, she was the mayor, stepped down as mayor to run as an independent last state election, and is once again running. Came second, got over 20% of the formal vote last time. We will speak to Judy Hannan about the issues, the policies, as well as the politics. As you know, there are stories about independence and the coalition and all of that kind of thing in the Wollondilly. It's International Women's Day as well. I know there has been suggestions that it's a bit of a boys' club in that part of town, the Wollondilly and the Wingecarribee. Lots to talk about. Also, a few houses being built.
This is Lindsay McDougall on ABC Illawarra.
And 17 days. Okay, thank you for crunching the numbers there, Jake. 17 days you'll be standing in the polling booth deciding who you want to represent you in state parliament. And if you live in the Wollondilly electorate, Judy Hannan is asking you to consider her to be that representative. Judith, of course, has been a local Wollondilly councillor for a number of years and was the mayor between 2007, 2008, 2016, 2018. Stepped down to run in the 2019 state election, where she took over 20% of the vote, 20.12, and came second, I guess that counts, of the formal vote. Judy Hannan once again taking a run at state politics and has made the time to come into the studio today. Hello there.
Hello.
Very nice to have you here.
It's really nice to be here, actually, in the studio.
That's right. I think last time we did this kind of thing for that election, we were in a car. It was the best we could do.
That sounds right.
Now, you're, of course, running as an independent. If you're elected, your constituents will, by definition, have a representative with less capability than they do now.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't believe that's the fact.
Well, explain that.
Let me tell you, and I think this is a fallacy that's put out there by political parties to try and stop people voting independent. So I can give you some actual facts, and you only have to look at Di Lee, John Hatton, Ted Mack, Alex Greenwich at the moment that's in there. They actually get a lot done for their actual community. And in Murray, the lady that's down there got $300 million more than any party MP has ever got for that area before. So I don't intend on getting less for my community. I intend on getting much, much more for them.
And there is a lot going on in that electorate at the moment, development especially, development settings around Appin. I know the local mayor there is very passionate around that, and there is Wilton, of course, as well. What do you see as the main issue with the current state of development in the Wollondilly, and how would you fix those issues?
So there's a lot of issues going on, as you say, and some of the issues are that we have this new rezoning that the state government are doing where they're not consulting with council and they're not consulting with the stakeholders or the community. They're simply coming out and rezoning large amounts of areas for thousands of houses just with a stroke of a pen. And in fact, some of these areas were approved before the guidelines were actually in place, such as Appin. And Appin is not in the Wollondilly electorate anymore, but it is affecting what's happening in the Wollondilly electorate because some of the infrastructure that has been promised for some of the development in the Wollondilly will now be diverted off to Appin. So I would actually like to see an audit of how these rezonings happened and if any of them can actually be wound back and put into a sensible time frame.
So is the issue between the different tiers of government and how development approvals are done as well?
Well, not really. It's just state government taking full control of everything and actually letting development happen for the developers. It's not about community and it's not about infrastructure. It's just allowing developers to put cookie-cutter houses with black roofs all across areas with no transport and no jobs.
But we need housing. We need housing stock.
Definitely.
It is. How do you balance a potential solution to the housing crisis with these concerns?
So interestingly enough, remember that the Wollondilly electorate goes all the way down to Burradoo, but at Renwick there is a really, really nice development there. The houses are on slightly bigger blocks of land. They've got trees, they've got parks, they've also got wide streets and light-coloured roofs. Now, unfortunately, while that looks lovely and it's great, the people of Renwick were promised a medical centre and things like that with the development from Landcom, and 10 years on, it's not there. So the infrastructure that was promised is not there. So I'd like to see a change in the way that the infrastructure is promised. I would like to see the government lend them the money to build the infrastructure before any houses are there, and they then pay the government back as those houses are delivered.
the raising of the Warragamba Dam, that is an issue as the community is wrestling with. Upstream, concerns about environmental damage and the loss of First Nations culture if the wall is raised. Downstream, communities in the Hawkesbury, the threat of devastating floods. Where do you fall on this issue?
Well, definitely. This is a big issue for my particular area, and I cannot understand why you want to raise a dam wall that will still mean that there will be flooding downstream, but literally, again, it's about development. We've all seen the pictures of Stuart Ayres standing there next to the flood pole saying, I'll have roofs from here to there. Why would you keep building in flood zones? Look at Lismore, for example, at this particular point in time. And why would you destroy what we've got in Warragamba? You will wipe out the Regent Honeyeater. You will wipe out that Indigenous art. And you'll cause so much stress to the people in the Warragamba-Silverdale area.
So I guess working, from the Wollondilly up to Macquarie Street is pretty important.
Look, it's vital that we actually have a community representation in Macquarie Street. And it's vital that whoever that is not bent by party politics, that they're there specifically to fight these issues for the people of Wollondilly.
So this is interesting. Judy Hannan is with us in the studio, standing as an independent, although at one point Gladys Berejiklian herself wanted you to be the Liberal Party candidate.
Yes, she did. I mean, full respect, I watched her through COVID and she did a great job through that. Yes, she thought I'd be the ideal person to represent then. But unfortunately, the parties have factions and factions do what they want. And I'd have to say, with the things happening in our area at the moment, being an independent is a far better option for the people and my community.
So sitting on the crossbench, as you will if you win the election, if the results are tight, the government's majority is slim, your vote could be quite powerful. How will you leverage that position?
So I've been talking to Alex Greenwich and Greg Piper, who are both independents in there at the moment, and they've never stopped supply, but they've used their position to deliver for their own communities. I'd be very keen to see who's going to do an audit of these developments in our area, and I'd be listening to both sides. I'm sure at some point I'll vote with the government and against the government, but literally I want the people of Wollondilly coming in and out of the office telling me what they think and you can get a guide from them because it's their voice.
Now, you haven't worn teal. Now, I know I bring that up because Climate 200, which gave support to candidates in the federal election, they ended up helping 6 women into Parliament. They're offering you support for this election. In fact, you're on their website with a teal-coloured background, asking for donations as they do. You've said in the past you don't want people to think of you as teal. Why is that? Tell me about your political views and how they don't align with the teals.
I'm quite curious as to what... Well, actually, my political alignment probably goes with some of the things that they have. If you think about the things that they look for is integrity. And if you look at what the federal Teals have done, they've certainly brought some integrity to the federal government. They also have looking after the climate and the environment, and I live on a farm and I would desperately like to look after our environment there. And the third thing is gender equity. And that's not equality. Equity means giving everybody a fair chance to do the same thing. So yes, I agree with some of the things they're doing, and yes, they've got me on for some donations, but I've also got donations from Labor Party members, and I've also got donations from very high up Liberal Party members that are all dissatisfied with what's happening for our actual electorate at this particular point in time. So I don't believe a colour is anything in particular. I believe they've got 6 teals that run there. I'm orange and I'm simply there for the people of Wollondilly.
Well, you did mention equity and the International Women's Day slogan is Embrace Equity today. You've been representing the community for a number of years. As a leader, you've been a bit vocal about the boys' club that is politics, especially in the Wollondilly and the Wingecarribee Shires.
Well, when you think about it, if you step back 2 years, I was the only female that represented that entire area. I was the only female on our council. There was no females on the Wingecarribee Council. We did not have a female state or federal representative. And that's not right and it's not healthy. Luckily now we've got 2 other females on the Wollondilly Council, and I'm really looking forward to Wingecarribee having an election, having a really diverse council.
Yeah. Well, what are your observations about women in politics, about pathways to support women into politics? What needs to change there?
Well, I guess it's a boys' club, and it's a proven fact that if you have somebody that looks like you, speaks like you, and all the rest of it, you will tend to pre-select them. This is one of the advantages I have because I don't have to go through that process. I just have to have my community elect me. But I think the fact that we've got to change everything about how we get that gender balance. And I think that the parties at the moment are trying to change it, but they're only trying to change it so they don't get picked on for not having it, not because they want to do it.
Okay.
So I believe that we need to support other women. Certainly in Wollondilly Council, I ran courses to get women to run for council, and I'd love to see that happen in Wingecarribee as well. So I would like to hold up other women, and I think that little bit of boost can give them the equity they need to take up those positions and roles.
All right. Judy Hannan, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you very, very much.
You're listening to ABC Illawarra.
Authorised by Neil Hannan, 365 McKee Road, Theresa Park.